I am a woman from Zimbabwe, but currently I am working here in South Africa. These are some of the things that I was told by the Somalian men that I used to work for. At that time, I was living in Pretoria. Then I moved and started staying in Brits. Whilst I was working in Brits, that was when I was told by the Somalian man I used to work for. He told me that his kids were getting possessed. They started getting possessed after he had been keeping some clothes at his house because he had a very big house in the plots. He told me the reason why he never wanted to keep the stock at his house after he would have received the second-hand clothes they sell to other people, even selling one by one outside. Those are the clothes that you can buy as second-hand, including the handbags. He said he did not want his kids to touch them or to keep them at his house because they made his children become possessed by little devils. At that time, before I had started working for this man, I was just suffering. I used to stay with another cousin sister of mine. At least I was staying with my cousin sister. My cousin sister had her husband. The way that he used to look at me, I saw that the man was in love with me. The challenge was that maybe he was scared to tell me that he wanted to sleep with me. At the same time, I had made a vow to myself never to sleep with him, for he was married to my sister. When he saw that he was unable to come forward with his story to tell me that he was in love with me, that was when he started mistreating me. You know, when you're staying with a couple and they fight each and every day, as a visitor, it makes you feel so bad because you will be thinking, I am the one causing all of these situations. What can I do in this situation? Then you find out that there is nothing you can do. That was when I told her that I wanted to look for a job after she had also told me that I was the one making the situation even worse. She was forever fighting with her own husband. That is how I ended up in Brits, and I was working for that Somalian guy who used to sell secondhand clothes. Life is very difficult. In order for me to get this job, a man had to sleep with me. The man who connected me with my Somalian boss said, I am not just going to give you a job for nothing. You need to sleep with me. So I ended up sleeping with him. We used to work in Pretoria. Then we would go to Marabastad. You know that area. There are a lot of weird things that go on around Sangoma. So many people. This Somalian guy owned another place in Marabastad where he would sell the clothes to other people. He would buy these clothes in Tanzania in bulk, and then he would bring them to the country. This is the way they used to bring these secondhand clothes here in South Africa. There would be trucks traveling from Tanzania coming to South Africa. They would be carrying beans, but not all beans. It would be beans mixed with the old clothes that had been bought there in Tanzania, and then the clothes would be smuggled into South Africa, including the handbags. Then they would start to sell the handbags. This man was making a lot of money. I don't know if your listeners have ever witnessed this. You know when you open a second-hand bale that is full of second-hand clothes, there is this other smell that will be there. The man told me that usually that smell would be like blood because the clothes were used for sacrifices. He told me that there was a time when he had bought some clothes in bulk after he had bought his house in the plot. At the place where he was staying, he had 3 garages, and he was only using one garage to park his car. The purpose of the other 2 garages was to use them as storage. When they got the clothes, he would store them at his farm and later on bring them into town. But he said the idea did not go according to plan. After they had received the clothes and packed them at his house, he said that his children started to behave as if they were under the possession of a devil. He was like, you see, you Christians. He was even giving me an example. This was way back before I even knew that there was a platform called YouTube. He went on YouTube and started showing me videos of how we Christians pray, sometimes rolling on the floor, crying, laughing by the power of the Holy Spirit. He was like, that is what my children are doing, and this is not the Holy Spirit. It is the possession of demons. And he knew what was going on. Then he said he went to Dar es Salaam to buy stock directly because he wanted to cut his cost so that he could make more profit. In the meantime, he had a middleman that used to buy the secondhand clothes for him in Tanzania and then bring them over to South Africa. He went there and said once he was in Dar es Salaam, he knew the man whom he used to buy the clothes from. Indirectly, he was also a Muslim like him. So they started to trust each other. And that man told my Somalian boss everything that happens. When he was taken to a warehouse just outside of the city, he saw traditional healers working for that man who used to supply him. They were holding buckets full of blood, but not the type of blood that can stain clothes. They were just pouring that blood, the liquid, on the jackets, on the clothes, as they were putting all the cases on the second-hand clothes. He was also told that in India, what they do is when you see that there is a spirit troubling you, maybe it is the spirit of poverty, you have a business, but that business is collapsing. In their religion, you go to the temple and you speak with a priest. The priest will tell you to go back home and pack all of your clothes. After you have packed all of your clothes, then you are supposed to bring them to the temple. Or you are told to go and sell all of your clothes that you have in your house. After you have sold them, you are not supposed to use that money for your personal use. You can only give the money to other poor Indians begging in the streets. If you do not do that, you are supposed to give the clothes out for free, or you are supposed to take the clothes to the temple. Then, the temple will sell the clothes to those companies that will then bring those second-hand clothes mixed with other second-hand clothes to Africa. So when you buy clothes that have been cursed like that, you have to know that it is the clothes of another person who was troubled by the spirits of poverty, curses, bad luck. And then they throw away the second-hand clothes, and you go and buy all of those curses. This man stopped the business that he was doing. He said, I cannot continue doing a business like this. I do not want to have curses on my life. He changed the business he was doing. There was even a woman that I was working with. This woman, I will call her Fifi. She was from Zimbabwe as well. She had her own child back home in Zimbabwe. After she had raised some money, she was like, I want to start my own business. I will buy these secondhand clothes and transport them to Zimbabwe, and my mom can sell them for me in Gweru. She started running a business, and I was scared because of what I had been told by my Somalian boss. You know what happened? This woman's child committed suicide in a very strange way. That is what happened to that woman. So I stopped working for that Somalian man, and I moved out of the province. I came to where I am staying right now. I don't know what people are going to do with this information. But as for me, I do not even want to buy secondhand clothes or secondhand handbags that you just see being sold in the street. You do not know who the previous owner of the clothes was. Just imagine maybe the person was told that they have bad luck. So they curse all of their personal items, and those secondhand personal items are brought over to Africa. You buy them, and you start wearing them. This is my own confession. That is what I heard from my previous Somalian boss. I am here to share with you about my trip that I took when I went to Zimbabwe to do money-making rituals. I ended up killing my wife. I slept with my own mother. Now I have money, but I do not have peace at all. I was just a regular man, a proud father, a husband, a police officer in KwaZulu-Natal. But bad things happened in my marriage that made me become who I am. My wife, when I was on duty, would bring men into my home. My neighbors would tell me, but I thought they hated my wife quite a lot. Now I am haunted because of the choices that I took. I live in Santon today. Yes, money is there. Cars, women, businesses. I look rich outside, but each and every night, terrible things happen to me. I sit on a chair throughout the night. I take a cozy blanket. I'm not allowed to lie down on the floor. Now my body. I feel that my body cannot take it anymore. I don't know when was the last time that I slept. Even during the day, I have to sleep while seated on a chair. There is no rest for me. Even when I am with a woman, we do not sleep down on the floor. We do it on the chair, on the couch. Those are my rituals. Every night I see the blood of my wife running down the walls, especially from upstairs coming downstairs. And I remember the things that I went to do in Zimbabwe and what I did to go there. I joined the police force straight after my matric. I had always wanted to serve because I believed in justice. But, justice does not pay the bills. It was in 2016. I was then stationed along the N1 highway. That was when I met this Zimbabwean cross-border bus driver. He had a lot of people. At first, I was strict inspecting papers. But then with time, when I had a girlfriend, my salary was not enough. And my girlfriend, she was too beautiful for me to let her go. When we had a child together, I knew that this was my responsibility. I was asking for bribes to let them pass. Me and that guy, we became friends. From the moment he would enter into South African borders, he would make a police call. "I am on my way, dear friend. How is the N1 like?" And we would be chatting. He would give me money, cool drink money, 500 Rand, even up to 2,000 Rand during the holidays and the peak seasons, depending on what they were smuggling. Sometimes it would be stolen phones when they were returning back home and skin lightening creams when they were returning back to South Africa. Sometimes they would never let me open. One driver, I'll call him Shepherd, became my best friend. He said, "Chief, you are wasting your time. You are letting people pass, but you need to know that there are rituals that are done that can help you to have more money." I just laughed at that time. "What source are you talking about?" He said, "Zimbabwe. The real money is made in Zimbabwe. Come and see." So it was in 2019, I was transferred to the Musina border. That was where everything began to go down the drain. I started sleeping around prostitutes, other women, club girls. I really did not mind. Then I caught something strange. At first, it was just sores on my manhood. I had slept with this Zimbabwean woman. She had been sorted by her husband like a locking spiritual game. If she sleeps with a man, that man will have an STI that cannot be cured by the nurses. My manhood started leaking yellow every day. I went to private clinics. Nothing was working. The antibiotics that I was taking, it was just too much. According to one of the nurses, one night, whilst I was in pain, I then just took my phone and I called my friend Shepherd from Zimbabwe. I was like, "Man, I am in pain. My manhood is really hot." That was when he was like to me, "Come to Zimbabwe. I know someone that can assist you." So I went to Zimbabwe, even though I did not know where I was going. We went to a village called Mvandoro. We crossed the border. I was on his bus. People did not even know that I was a South African who was with them on the bus. No passport, nothing. I was in pain. He took me to a Sangoma in Mvandoro, a remote area. I went there, and then we met up with a traditional healer who did not even greet me and simply said, "Remove your clothes." This was the second day. Then he worked on my manhood. When I woke up, I was cured. I had no pain. The sores were gone. I felt like a new man. He even gave me some charms, like Congo dust, to strengthen myself in bed. When I returned back to South Africa, I really wanted more. When I went to Shepherd's life, because he also stays in that village, he had 2 cars. And these cars were very expensive, just parked in the village. He had girlfriends everywhere in the village. He had 2 wives, and each wife had electricity and big mansions. I said to him, "I want money. I thought you were just a bus driver. You have big money." He was a millionaire. That guy just laughed. And then, that was when he told me that he would go with me. We returned back to Zimbabwe together on the bus again. The Sangoma told me that I was supposed to give something that bleeds, like my wife. She was the one who was in my heart, near my heart, and close to my manhood. That is what I was told. That very same night, I saw a baboon. I was told to slaughter that baboon. I took a knife and a hunting spear, and I threw the hunting spear because this baboon was chained to a tree. The moment that I threw that hunting spear, killing that baboon, that was when I heard my wife crying. I ran to where that baboon that I had stabbed was. I saw that I had stabbed my wife. When I returned to South Africa, I was no longer the same. My wife passed away. I used her in that ritual. Those people betrayed me. I thought that I was sacrificing a baboon, but it was my wife. Later on, I was then told that now that I had started making money, what was needed was for me to sleep with my mom. Otherwise, I was going to lose all the fortune. You must sleep with your mom. Otherwise, you are going to lose all the millions that you have. Shepherd told me that he also slept with his mom while she was on her deathbed. I returned back to KwaZulu-Natal, and I was shattered in my mind. I was driving a brand new Ford Ranger, but my mind was not in one place. My mother was 75. She had raised me alone, a sweet, innocent woman. I went to her and I gave her some charms. She fell fast asleep, and in regret, I did things to her that I am even afraid to mention. I forced myself on my mom. My mother passed away. We buried her in KwaZulu-Natal. I never forgave myself, and I can't forgive myself for sleeping with my own mother. Now I have money, but I have no peace. After my mom's death, the money was even more, and I won a tender, opened a logistics company. My bank account is always fat. I have 3 sports cars. I have a lot of people that call me boss. I stopped being a police officer. I do not sleep at night because when I go to bed, I am reminded by some of the tools from Zimbabwe that you need to remember you are not supposed to lie down. I have not laid myself down on the bed for a couple of years now. My bones are tired. I cannot do this anymore. When I feel like I am too tired, I take 3 belts and I tie myself to the chair so that I don't fall over. I even invited a guy who does welding, who welded this chair right against the wall so that I do not fall. I am a prisoner in my own house. I really do not know if I'm supposed to give up on this that I have. You will get money, but you will pay for it with your soul.